we use bar modeling just as another strategy to help us solve multi-step problems. Okay? Multi-step problems are very hard for everybody, third graders to adults, because there's so much information. It's easy to forget information, or to miss a step in the problem, or to just lose your place. So we use bar modeling just as a way to keep us organized. Okay? And I know that we've seen bar modeling, but just to give you an example, this might be a bar model that you've set up. I know we've all done bar modeling in my small group, but this might be an example of what it looks like. So maybe we don't know the total number of clothing items in a closet. I put a question mark. We know that that whole bar is equal to our total. We've broken our bar up into 2 sections. Number of old clothing items that we already have in our closet versus new clothing items. And we would use this to help us understand how to get to our total. Okay? Just like when you do multiplication and you do an equals groups drawing, or just like in multiplication where you do an array drawing, or maybe in addition and subtraction you use expanded form. All of those are strategies to show your work. This is another strategy. The cool thing about bar modeling is you can do it in any operation. Excuse me, you can do it with addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. You can do it anytime. Okay? We good? Yes.
With bar modeling, how does that bar model sort of, how do they, like if they're trying to count up to, we're trying to count up to a number, and you're either adding or subtracting, how do bar models help?
So let's look at this example problem. Clearly, I want to find out what's the total number of clothing items in my closet. I don't know that. That's why there's a question mark there. I do know how many I bought when I went on my shopping spree. But I do know how many were in my closet already. How am I going to figure out how many total number of clothing items I have? Okay. So it's just providing another way for you to quickly see what you're going to do. Okay? Steps to bar modeling. Just like in word problems, there are some steps. They're not very different. I want you to write these down in your notebook, though, so you know what to do, because you're going to be doing the bar modeling all by yourself, and it's partners. First step to bar modeling is the same as any word problem. Read it. You got to read the word problem to know what to do. Common sense there. Easy peasy. Number 2, draw the unit bars. Doesn't that sound very similar to our other step for solving a word problem? Step 2 in solving any old word problem is just to know the unit. Now we're going to draw unit bars. What that usually looks like is a long bar that we say represents the total of something. Now we talked last week that we might know the total, we might not, but we know that that big bar represents the total, whether we know it or not. Okay? Number 3, I actually just did number 3, is label your bars. Fill in the information that you do know. Now, if they gave you all the information, would you have a problem to solve? No. They're going to leave something out. But fill in the information that you do know. I already know that my big bar means total. I already know that. Once you get your bars all set up, then just try and solve the problem. Okay? one trick that I was showing only some of my groups last week is once you finish a step, go ahead and do a little check mark over it. Like, okay, I've done that part. Because they will try and get you with multi-step problems. That means problems that have more than one thing to do. They're going to try and trick you. Okay? So I want you to go ahead and write down these 4 steps. They are the 4 steps to bar modeling. It's very, very similar to what we already know about solving any old word problem. Alright, I want you to open in your notebook and find this word problem. We're going to solve it out together using our bar modeling technique. Okay, so you're finding the problem that says Oceanside Bike Rental Shop charges a $12 fixed fee plus $8 an hour for renting a bike. Mike paid $76 to rent a bike. How many hours did he pay to have the bike checked out?
So it's minus.
I don't know why you're jumping to that conclusion. That's not the first step in bar modeling. That's not a good step for any competition. It's just a guess. Wait. So you're going to have to write it down. Okay. We're all there? Alright, what's the very first step to solving a bar modeling problem, or any word problem for that matter? Susanna? You gotta read it. Okay? Oceanside Bike Rental Shop charges a $12 fixed fee. What that means, fixed fee, that means that anytime you go to that shop and you say, hey, I want to check out a bike, they're going to say, okay, first cost is $12. Okay, that's what that fixed fee means. Plus $8 an hour for renting the bike. So it's $12 just to get the bike, and then $8 for every hour that you have it. Does that make sense? Okay. Mike paid $76 to rent a bike. We want to know how many hours did he pay to have the bike checked out. Okay? Alright, next step in bar modeling is to do what? Jaden?
Next step is draw the unit bars.
Sure. Let's do our unit and our answer sentence and our unit bars all in one step. What are we trying to figure out? What's going to be our answer sentence? This is just like any other word problem. What's going to be our answer sentence? Peter?
Mike paid.
It's not going to be paid.
Mike.
Look at that question. See what it's going to be.
Mike. How many hours did Mike? How many hours did he pay to have the bike checked out?
Sure. So how are we going to make that an answer sentence?
Mike checked out the bike for blank hours.
Beautiful. Mike checked out the bike for blank hours. Do we know how many hours?
No.
No. If we did know, I wouldn't have a problem to solve.
Yeah.
I would be done. Yes.
That how many at the very end of the paragraph, that confused me. It's because I thought that it was the hours that wrote for.
Same thing. It's the exact same thing. Whether he was riding the bike for that long or checking out the bike for that long, it's still the same thing. We want to know how many hours. That's what we're really trying to figure out. Mike checked out the bike for how many hours? Blank hours. Okay? Let's draw our unit bar. Always start with a big, long rectangle. Why? Because that's always our total and it's easy to do. We know that means total. Now this one's tricky. We want to know the total hours. That's true. But we don't know how many hours he checked it out. What we do know is the total amount of money that he paid. How much money did he pay? Kaden, how much money did he pay total?
76.
Yeah, Mike paid $76 to rent a bike. So total, he paid $76. Okay. Yes. We'll get there. We'll get there. So we've made our unit sentence, our answer sentence. We've made our unit bar. Now what do we need to do? Now what do we need to do? Bryce?
Label your bars and fill in the information.
Yeah, we need to fill in the information that we know. What do we know? Give me one thing that we know about Mike and this bike rental thing.
He paid $76 to rent the bike.
We paid $76 total to rent a bike. Yeah, so let's go ahead and put a check above that sentence because we've done that. We did it right here. We've done that sentence. He paid $76 to rent a bike. It's right there. We got that. Done. One part done. What is another thing that we know about Mike in this whole situation? Look in the problem. That's where the clues are. Mateo, what's one other thing that we know?
Oceanside Bike Rental Shop charge a $12 fixed fee plus.
Yeah, so we know that he paid $12 just by saying, hey man, I want a bike. They said, okay, it's $12. So we know he paid $12 already. So let's break up our bar. And we're going to write a 12. Why do you think I left all this spot open? I only put the 12. Why do you think I left this place open? Eva?
Because you haven't got your other number yet.
What else is gonna go in my bar? Do you know?
Is
What else is gonna go in my bar? Suzanne, what do you think is gonna go in my bar? Well, $76 is my total. It's not gonna go inside my bar. James, what are you thinking? 8. Maybe some 8s. Why do you think that?
because it says this. Oceanside Bike Rental Shop charges a $12 fixed fee plus $8
Keep going.
an hour for
So-
a bike.
Do we know how many hours he had to pay yet?
No.
No, that's what's going to go in this section. But we did take care of one part in our word problem. What part did we take care of? Bryce, what part did we take care of?
Wait.
We could check off a part in our word problem. What can we check off? Look at our word problem. We did, Mike paid $76. We checked that off. We did that. What else have we done already?
Draw the uniform.
Yep, we did that. What in our problem can we check off?
Oh, my grandpa's shop charged $12.
Yep, we could do the $12 part because we've already got that done. So right there. Here it is. We've done it.
Now we just had $12 more. As many times as we think that we need to make it 76.
Was it going to be 12?
8. No. 8.
So they only charged $12 one time. After that, what are they charging? Lene? What's that? Oh, no. They've only charged $12 once. After that, what are they doing? $8 an hour. Okay? Do we know how many 8s to break it up into yet? No, not yet. What I would do here is I would take my total, I would subtract my flat fee to figure out about how many sections do I need to section it off into. Okay, so go ahead and do that, please. Take your total, which is $76. Subtract $12. So I know in here I have to get to $64. So 64 broken up into $8 increments, or 8 times something is going to give me 64. 8 times something is going to give me 64. Haley, what are you thinking?
Well, it's a question.
Go for it.
When we add up our number and we get what kind of numbers do we put that in the box?
In here? Yeah. Peter, what are you thinking?
12
12 8. Do you know what 10 times 8 is going to be? Figure it out. What's 10 times 8? Skip count. Would you skip count by 8s or 10s? Okay, do it. Okay, so if 10 times 8 is 80, 12 times 8 going to be bigger or smaller?
bigger.
So it's probably going to be smaller than 10 8s.
So, like 8 8.
Do you think 8 8s? Okay. What's 5 times 8? Did you skip count? Okay, do it with me. So 5 times 8 is 40. Okay. If we add another 8, what would that be? What if we added another 8?
That would equal 6. For 8 hours.
It took us 8 groups of 8. So I'm going to break up my bar into 8 sections of 8. Now remember when I told you about your bars? If they're the same number, they need to be about equal spacing. And it needs to take up your whole total bar. You can't have all this other space left over. Yes, ma'am?
So how many 8s do we get in
You
there?
tell me how many 8s gave us $64. We just did the math for it. It's on the board. How many 8s did it take us to get to $64? The answer is not written on my face. The answer is written on the board. Not that board.
This board.
But 8 groups of 8 gave us 64. We just solved that. So I'm going to do 8 groups or sections of 8. Yes.
So when we put it all into this mix, we might check out the bike for 8 hours.
Yes. Now before we get there, Jaden, let's double check to make sure that we did this right. Okay? What could I do to make sure that everything in my bar equals my total number? What could I do? I'm going to give a check to my $8 an hour because we just did that. What could I do to make sure everything inside my bar equals my total? Ashley, what do you think I could do? Okay, well, what operation am I going to use to make sure all my math in this bar is equal to my total? What am I going to times it by? I'm not going to use multiplication to do this. Harley? I'm not going to do multiplication to do this. From here, knock it off. From here, all I'm going to do is just add it up.
Yeah, the addition.
I just got to add. Everything in my bar added up should equal what number? 76. Now let's talk a shortcut. Because if I do 12 plus 8 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 plus 8, I have a lot of math I gotta do. Do I know a shortcut? Do I know what some of it already equals? Get out of your desk, please, ladies. Jake, what does some of this already equal? Yeah, this part right here already equals 64. So I'm going to put that out to the side. 64. What's the other part that I haven't added up yet? What's the other part that I haven't added up yet, James? 12. So let's add up. Make sure that equals our total number. Remember, I got 64 from what's in black. And then my 12 over here. I'm going to add that up. Are my bars broken up correctly to give us our total number?
Yes.
Yes. So Mike checked out the bike for 76 hours.
Wow. Wow. No. No.
That is so wrong. Thank you for noticing that. Did he check out the bike for 76 hours?
No.
No, he paid $76. Are dollars hours?
No.
No. So how many hours did he check it out? How many hours did he check out this bike? Mitchell, how many hours? Back yet? Okay. Kaden, how many hours? 8. How did you figure that out? Kaden came up with 8 hours. How did you figure that out, Kaden? So from here, I'm looking at how many $8 an hour sections are there. Okay? Because remember, he paid $8 per hour. Okay? So I'm going to count them. I'm going to count 1 section, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. So how many hours did he actually check out this bike? Aiden? 8 hours. Now this is a lot of work for this problem. But could you imagine doing that with no picture? That would be really hard. That's why we use a bar modeling strategy, to give you a picture. Okay?